Well, welcome into another edition of KARE 11 Sports Plus. I'm Julia Daniels. Reggie Wilson is a new father.
Shout out Reggie Wilson.
He is a father on Father's Day. That is why Nasser Kelvey is here with me once again. Reggie Wilson's biggest fan.
Not only biggest fan, some say identical twin.
Yeah, no one says that.
Some people say that.
No one says that.
People online say that sometimes.
No one online says that. Anyways, we have a jam-packed show for you today. The ladies in the Twin Cities.
On fire.
They tend to get things done.
On fire.
It's kind of on brand for the ladies. Now, the
Lead the
men,
way.
on the other hand.
They're coming. Hold on.
They have this weird thing where it's like, so close. Just kidding.
Well, they're growing. They're growing.
So we got to talk about the Lynx, of course, the incredible season that they are continuing to have. So we're going to start with the Lynx, duh. And then we're going to talk Twins because things aren't looking great at the moment, but it's baseball. They got a lot of games, so we're not too terribly worried about the Twins just yet.
A little worried.
And then maybe if we have some time, we'll talk a little Wolves just for you, Nasser.
They don't need Katie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's the hot take, but we'll get to that in a little bit. First of all, we have to talk about the Lynx. The Lynx, if you live under a rock, the Lynx beat the Aces last night, and now they're headed to the Commissioner Cup final to defend their Commissioner Cup from last year.
Back to back.
And also, because of the win, they get to host at Target Center. July 1st is that game. They'll be against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Exciting stuff. However, I do want to jump back to, I don't know if you saw last night's game or not. I want to talk about last night's game, kind of the takeaways from it, and some surprises that we saw a little bit. So first of all, Napheesa Collier, Courtney Williams said post-game, Napheesa Collier is going to be just fine, and she's going to take care of business and figure out what's going on with her back. Please, I know Lynx fans are desperate to know what's going on with their captain and the best player in the W. Napheesa only had 7 points last night because she did get hurt a little early on. But the good news is Diamond Miller showed up just as we expected her to when she was drafted just a few years ago. Your thoughts on the game last night?
Well, let me just tell you this real quick on Napheesa Collier, if I could. I know she's hurt. She's going to come back. We're happy about that. One thing that I've noticed is she could do something that we haven't seen in Minnesota sports for a while. She could be MVP of her league. And I mean, Adrian Pearson back in 2012, and I don't know who after that, if there was anybody from a Minnesota sports team who won MVP in their league, and that's the kind of trajectory Napheesa Collier is on right now. And you see that absolutely leading the Lynx to an 11-1 record. They're dominating everybody. Obviously, huge moment to kind of hold your breath as soon as anything happens. We're hoping she's kind of like Ant-Man, that, you know, she's going to bounce back just fine. And I think she will. And I mean, she's doing a heck of a job with the Lynx so far. Yeah, I mean, she is so incredible. I'm always in awe of Fee whenever I see her. The funny thing about Fee is she's a monster on the court, and she's an absolute angel off the court. She's one of the kindest human beings, so humble, caring. She remembers everything about everybody. Just kind of the person that she is. I can't imagine being on her team, having her as a leader as well. And so introspective, too. I mean, when you listen to some of these post-game press conferences and these interviews that she does, she's like really, really thinking through everything that she's going to say. And I think that's really impressive out of a leader to have on a team. Yeah,
she's locked in constantly. We'll say something, you know, obviously we knew last year that it was a rebuild year, right? A rebuild year, and then you end up in the WNBA finals because that's Cheryl Reeve for you.
Should've won.
But something that they didn't get really to focus on last season because they had so many off-season pickups was the depth, the bench of this team. And Fee has already been hurt this season, and so the team picked up her slack in her absence. So should she not play in this final, I think they could be okay. And going off of that, like I said earlier, Diamond Miller finally has the game that we knew was in her, right? And she has been through, here's what I want to say about Diamond Miller. Diamond Miller has been through a lot since she was drafted into the league. She was the number 2 pick in 2023, for those that don't know, by the Lynx. And she has had several injuries since then. She had an off-season surgery. She got hurt again. By the time she was healthy last year, the team had already figured out the chemistry, and there was not really space for her in that sense. And so she has been working, and I can say this because we hear it from her teammates all the time. We heard it post-game yesterday after the incredible game that she had. But she has put in so much work to make sure that she's ready for this moment, and she said the mental gymnastics that she has had to do just every single night with every game to sit on the bench and just be ready is hard. It's something that a lot of people don't think about, but I want to give you some stats for her. She had 12 points, 4 for 5 shooting, real spark plug. put
Exactly
up
what they
11
needed.
threes and didn't sink a single one until she got into the game last night. So she was everything and more that they needed, and Cheryl was just looking for someone to spark her offense. They were about to have an all-season low in first half points until she got into the game, and Cheryl was like, anything, Diamond, please, and she stepped up. So very cool.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as, the same thing just in basketball, men's or women's, it doesn't really matter, is, when the other team is missing a player, you kind of think, okay, like their center's gone, our center's going to have a good game. But that same thing can happen on your own team.
Yep.
With injuries or whatever allows to it. Sometimes these players need these moments to step up and to be that fire plug, be that spark plug. And she got the opportunity and she made the absolute most with it.
And of course, it's been nice. I actually talked to Natisha Heidemann last week, and she told me that this season, for those that don't know, Natisha Heidemann has been incredible off the bench. Courtney Williams has had a great year, but she also has this incredible backup who's also her best friend that has just kicked it into high gear. And when I actually asked Cheryl Reeve about what's been the difference for T this season, she was like, basically, she just wants it more. She saw what everyone else was doing, and she was like, well, I want to be a part of that too. So another double-digit game last night for Natisha Heidemann, 12 points off the bench. She's kind of making herself this irreplaceable person. I mean, she's kind of like the Naz Reid of the Lynx at this point. So it's just been very cool to see her come through too and be a spark plug that they've had in other games. I mean, she was kind of the same last night too. Here's what I will say: covering the Lynx, you get a little spoiled, right?
Yeah.
And
Lately,
especially in the past 2 years, been a little
Yeah.
spoiled with the Wolves as well. So I'm like looking at the box score from last night. I'm like, only 2 starters were in double digits.
Yeah.
Ridiculous,
Right.
right? There's also the Alabama fan of me that does that a little bit too. So
Just what we needed.
I will say that. But when you also have 2 players off your bench that are in double digits, okay, so your starters didn't show up. That's fine. And also the fact that Nafisa Collier was injured as well. She only had 7 points, so that had something to do with it too.
And I think you see that across basketball when you need to have your bench players play well. And you're seeing it right now with OKC, where their
Yeah.
bench players are continuously stepping up. Their second options, their third options are stepping up. And you need to have people who can take on those roles if you want to win a championship. And that's one of those things, like, yeah, the Lynx could not win. Controversy or no controversy, they should have won last year. They didn't win. That's okay. But you got to kind of believe that got those buy-in from those players who
Yeah.
may not have gotten that opportunity last year, but now they know that anything is really possible when they're so close to winning a championship. And it seems like that buy-in is really paying off, and that's something you got to hand it to the coach for.
Yeah, you do. Cheryl, I mean, that's the thing. Cheryl Reeve is, in a league of her own when it comes to coaching as well. But exciting stuff that they're going to be hosting Caitlin Clark on July 1st
Box
for the commissioner.
office.
I know.
Box office.
It's going to be crazy downtown when
I'm
that
excited.
game happens.
I'm going to try to go. I mean, what a game.
Oh, yeah,
What a game.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have full coverage on KARE 11, of course. We're going to have somebody down there.
Tune
We're going to
in.
have social down there. It's going to be incredible. We're going to get off our high horse now, and when we come back, we're going to talk Twins, because we have to. Sorry, Nasir. So stick with us. Well, welcome back to everyone to KARE 11 Sports Plus. I'm Julia Daniels, Nasir Kelvy, in for Reggie Wilson this Wednesday because Reggie is a new father. He became a father on Father's Day.
Shout out my twin.
Yeah, Nasir has this.
No, a lot of people say that Reggie and I look kind of similar to
He has
each
this
other.
delusional idea.
No,
that
like if
he
you
and
see us
Reggie
from the
look
back,
alike.
you can't really tell who's who between Reggie and I.
It's just like what, 6 inches of height difference?
But it's not. But I mean, the thing is, like, our stature is similar. You know what I mean? Like the height might not be the same, but our stature is similar. That's what people say.
So, what I'm hearing is you have voices in your head. Anyways, let's talk about, we were talking about the Lynx. Incredible season so far, but we're going to take it down a little bit. We got to talk about the Twins. Longest losing skid of the season right now.
Yeah.
The state of Texas is enemy number 1 for the Twins.
Yeah. It's been that way.
Horrible losses to the Rangers.
Yeah.
Granted, they got game 2 of that 3-game series. Horrible losses otherwise. Like double-digit losses.
Yeah. And I mean, they have injuries.
Yes.
They have Royce Lewis. He's hurt. I mean, they have these injuries, but man, are they stuck in a funk right now.
They are, and we always talk about baseball's ebbs and flows, this, that, and the other, but they've lost 9 of their last 11.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Also, they got swept by the Astros right before this series that they're starting up with the Reds right now,
Yeah.
which by the time this goes online and you guys are watching this, they'll be finishing up their game with game 2 of the 3-game series with the Reds. So hopefully they're getting out of a rut. Bailey Ober at the start. But let's talk about last night's game because I think it was a little bit of a microcosm for what's wrong with this team right now. Horrible errors.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. It's hard to watch sometimes.
It is, and the thing that they always talked about was we've got all these young guys that we're bringing in. We're investing in the farm, right? Like we're gonna bring ground up. They're not going to spend any money, which has been like the huge, talker, of course. But errors last night were a huge problem for the Twins. Ryan Jeffers, 2 unearned runs just from dropping a 3rd strike there. Also, you walk 8 batters.
Yeah.
And the bullpen is supposed to be the best in baseball right now, and I don't think that we're seeing that.
No, I don't think we're getting anywhere near seeing that. And I mean, historically, Twins and Twins fans have had kind of a short fuse when it comes to the pitching. Someone struggles and they're like, get him out of there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard to build a successful unit playing like that, and that's kind of exactly what we've been seeing continuously. And it's tough, man. It's like, I said this earlier, it's like they're in the twilight zone because you see them winning 13 games straight and you think, okay, any team that can win 13 games straight, they have something cooking. They're able to do whatever they need to do. And then losing 4 or 5, and it's not just losing, it's how they're losing. I mean, it's the unforced stuff, it's the mental stuff. And at some point you have to question, are they just buying time for new ownership? What's going on, man? Because there's just no way you can lose games like this at the level that they're playing at with the team that they have around them. It's not like they're void for talent everywhere.
Right.
They have some guys who know how to get everything done that they could possibly want. Like I said, they do have some injuries at the moment, but it's tough. It's tough because where do you go from here?
It feels like Rocco Baldelli is constantly on a record scratch of saying, this is a game we could have easily won.
And it's always true,
and
it seems.
true.
It's always true. He's never wrong about that.
He's not wrong about that. I will say something that is obviously a little salt in the wound for the Twins in a lot of different ways is just Royce Lewis constantly getting hurt. And, May was absolute garbage time for Royce. He looked, let's be honest, he looked horrible in May. Absolutely horrible. And then June came along and it was like, oh,
that's Royce Lewis.
There's Royce Lewis.
There he is.
And then he's running to first once again and messes up his leg.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what you do, but he's so good is the thing. He's so talented.
When he's on. I've never seen
his numbers, the jump of his numbers from May to June was insane. I mean, incredible.
Right.
Everything was.
And we've never really seen him slump like he did in May. So, obviously in the grand scheme of a career.
Right.
But also in the grand scheme of a career, injuries are career ruiners. Yeah. I'm not willing to jump to that conclusion yet at all, but I do have some serious questions about why this keeps happening. I'm no doctor, obviously, but you have one job here, and to hit the ball and run to first.
Yeah.
And
it's tough. It seems like, the thing that happens with these injuries is it seems like he's always coming back from an injury.
Right.
At this point.
Because he is, yes.
And it's tough because, he's a lot like my favorite player on the Twins, somebody who I've loved for a very long time, Byron Buxton. I call myself the quadruple B, the biggest Byron Buxton believer. I absolutely love Byron Buxton, but it's like the same thing. It's like he's always coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
And when do you actually see, that potential really fully realized? And now it does make me really sad to see that, to kind of see Royce Lewis kind of going down that same career arc in some ways of constantly being injured and constantly coming back from an injury.
Yeah, maybe it's the balance of having Buck healthy this year. You got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice Royce if that's the case. But
sacrifice him for what, though? At least win the games. Right. If someone's being sacrificed, you would hope. So like at least win. If you're going to sacrifice Royce Lewis, at least get the dub.
Right. Wait, hey, man.
It's been a long time, man. Twins have aged me this year and my entire life.
Yeah, the Twins have kind of taken us on an entire roller coaster, and we're where in the season? Not very far.
No, we're not.
We got a long way to go, and I think it's going to just continue to be a roller coaster of emotions. If you're a Twins fan, if you're covering the Twins, you never know what you're going to get out of them. And also their starters too. You have Pablo Lopez out, which is kind of old news, but at the same time a huge blow. And then you have Bailey Ober making starts like he's made recently, and it's been rough stuff. He's even said it himself, is that something's not working for me. And I don't know, people are obviously haters online, but it's hard when you're a 6'8" pitcher. Yeah. That is not easy on your body, and it's not easy to be consistent in that way too. But Something has to give with the Twins. We've been saying that for months now. I feel like a broken record.
But hey, they might win the next 13 games.
Exactly.
They are capable
and
of doing that. Hey, they might go 13-0 again.
So strap in, ladies and gentlemen. The Twins season is
just
fully
really
underway.
getting started, yeah, at this point.
It's a little bit like
now
the
that we've had our injuries, I feel like now the season's really kind of getting going. I feel like it's tough to say the season started when the season actually starts.
Yeah.
Once the injuries start coming in, then we can say the Twin season has started.
Yeah.
Now we kind of know what our team's going to look like. Now we can kind of predict a little bit more of how things are going to go.
Yeah.
It's tough when they're healthy because we know they're not going to stay healthy for long. Unfortunately, I wish them all the best.
Yeah, and that's baseball too. But it also makes me wonder a little bit about the training staff that they have there, which I think has always come into question, especially the past few years.
Yeah.
Who knows? The ownership is up for grabs. Just a little pocket change, a few $1 billion.
Who wouldn't want it?
Who wouldn't?
With the way the Twins are playing, who wouldn't want to own the Twins?
Right. So, I don't know. There's a lot up in the air. I'm not willing to make any or jump to any conclusions about the Twins, but I'm on the fence. I don't know if there's reason to have hope, but I'm also
They have a
not
good
sure
core. The reason to have hope is they have a good core. I mean, they have some really talented players at some very key positions, but if they can't stay healthy, it does not matter how talented they are, unfortunately.
That's true. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk NBA, maybe a little bit of NFL, since we found out when training camp's starting for the Vikings.
Yes.
It's going to be a blazer, but stick with us. Well, welcome back to KARE 11 Sports Plus. I'm Julia Daniels. Reggie Wilson is out as a new dad. We've got Nasir Kelvy in for him today. They don't look alike, so stop calling him
Some
that.
people say we look alike. Not everybody says that. Some people say that.
I don't think anybody. I think it's the voices in your head.
It's just like if I wore the suits and stuff that he wears, I think you'd have a hard time telling us apart. That's all.
Anyways, let's talk about the NBA. You said you have a lot to say about the finals that are happening right now. The floor is yours.
This is a series I think the Timberwolves could have won.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think they could have absolutely won this. I mean, it was terrible. The Thunder were a terrible matchup for the Wolves with how they're built. Listen, the Wolves are built. I know I said the finals, and I'm immediately talking about the Wolves. I know the Wolves are not in the finals.
Yep.
I understand all of that. But let me just talk about the Wolves real quick. Bear with me. The Wolves are built, specifically built to take down the Denver Nuggets. And what have they done since every time they've played the Nuggets?
Whooped them.
They've smoked them. They've demolished them.
Yep.
They've taken the building that they were building and they've taken it out on the ground floor. There's no more building of the Denver Nuggets when they come to Minnesota. The problem is the Nuggets are no longer the enemy. The Nuggets are no longer the big problem anymore.
Right.
It is the Thunder. And this version of the Wolves was not the best team to beat the Thunder, but I do think this version of the Wolves could have beat the Pacers in the finals.
Okay, I would say yes. I would say yes. I don't know. I look at the pace of play of these games and I'm like, I don't think the Wolves could keep up with that. I just don't. And also, I will say, the Pacers are like, this is what I was talking about earlier. Something's going on in Indianapolis. Like, a lot of bad things are happening to everyone else in Indianapolis, and then everything's going great for the Pacers. So I have my suspicions, right? Well, it was, right. They're, of course, down 3-2 in the series.
Yeah.
But here's my thoughts.
Yes.
The Pacers have been unconventionally, no, not even unconventional. The way that they have won games has never happened before. And so I think it is an invalid argument to say that any team in the NBA has a chance against them in the finals because they have done things that no one else has done before. It is unprecedented the way that they have finished games and the things that Tyrese Halliburton has done in this postseason alone, but also in this series alone too. No one's prepared for that. No one is. And I would say the Wolves are not prepared for that either.
The Thunder seem to be having no problem at this point. I mean, they look like they're about to take this series immediately.
Yeah.
And then that's what, I mean, the point that you're making right there, not that I necessarily disagree with it, but I mean, a lot of that stuff you could chalk up to luck.
Well,
I mean,
absolutely, but who has the same luck as the Pacers?
Their luck is running out. It's not sustainable. Their luck was great
also
game
the Wolves
one.
are not the Thunder.
They don't need to be the Thunder, though.
No, they do, I feel like, in order to beat a team like the Pacers that when they win are winning games the way that they do.
We'll never know. All we know is the Wolves are going to come back next year, and what we don't know is if they're going to make a big trade before the season starts.
We also don't know if OKC is going to be able to afford to keep this team all together anyway, so no reason to freak out about them becoming a powerhouse because I don't think it's going to happen.
I want the Wolves to beat OKC at their absolute best.
Okay.
I hope they're able to keep every single one of their players, and I hope the Wolves come back next year and sweep them in the playoffs.
But in terms of the Wolves,
Yes.
your thoughts on all of the rumors swirling around, which if you don't know, there's rumors that KD will come here, this, that, and the other. What are your thoughts?
We don't need KD.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'll tell you one more thing. We don't need a point guard. That's what we got Rob Dillingham for.
That's right.
The one thing we could do to, I think, actually tank our future is trade Rob Dillingham.
Yeah.
I think we're looking for somebody else who can create a shot and who can get a bucket. That's Rob Dillingham.
Yep.
There's a reason we drafted this guy. We traded up and got him because we know exactly what he can be, and I get it. We're in this win now moment, back-to-back Western Conference Finals. We're not going to get there. As much as I love Bite, Minnesota Mike Conley, it is time for that next step to be taken. It may move Mike Conley to the bench. That's fine. He still has a role for him on this team. He doesn't need to get off the team, but we need the guy who has all this ability. We've seen it in flashes again and again when he's on the court. Yes, he needs to work on his shot. Yes, he needs to tighten things up like that a little bit. But when him and Anthony Edwards are on the floor, you got to let him grow. He's not going to get better without those minutes.
Yeah, I think Ant also needs to be forced into a leadership role rather than having someone hold his hand the entire time either. Otherwise, he's never going to turn into that person that they're expecting him to be. Just my thoughts on the situation. And so I also think KD doesn't need to come here either because I think it's a waste of money for a guy who's in the twilight of his career.
I agree with that. And then one more thing I'll say about KD not coming here. I think if we really need another second option, if we need another option for the Wolves, a guy who I think is ready to step up, and we've seen another guy, this guy has had flashes all year for years now, is Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
They got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. We've seen what he can do in the playoffs. He's doing it in the playoffs. Yes, he had a couple bad games.
It's inconsistent.
He had a couple tough shooting games. But it's going to be inconsistent when you keep bringing somebody else. Okay, you have Cat. I love Cat, my favorite player of all time. I'm an unbiased analyst right now.
Yeah.
No affiliation, no fandom of Minnesota sports from me. You're not going to get that from me. But Cat, some say best basketball player ever. But listen, that's not the point of this. What I'm saying is when you go from Cat being the second option, then you have Julius Randle being the second option, what that does, it kind of stifles the growth of the offensive game of a player like Jaden McDaniels. And he can do it all, man. I know we'd love to put him out in the corner and just have him shoot those, but he is so much better than that. In fact, putting him in the corner kind of stagnates his game. The way he can slash, the way he can get to the cup is really unique, and we've just not seen it enough.
No one puts Baby in the corner. No one puts Rob in the corner.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
I like that. I like your thoughts. I agree with you on D, all of the above. Just real quick before we get out of here, Vikings training camp, July 26th, they have announced is going to be the first day of training camp.
Yeah.
Just your thoughts. What are you excited about? What do you want to see out of this Vikings team? This will be kind of our first real look at them ahead of the season.
Training camp battles. I'm so excited to watch some of these battles unfold. A couple ones specifically that I'm looking at. I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. Is who's going to be wide receiver 3 for the Vikings this year? It's kind of wide open. We know who Justin Jefferson is. We know who Jordan Addison, even though he might be facing that suspension, which makes wide receiver 3 so important. They drafted Ty Felton. Obviously, they have Speedy Naylor still in house. Who's going to come out on top of that? And then as well as corner.
Yeah.
Who are we going to have? What is this depth chart going to look like at cornerback? They didn't go make another big splash. Obviously, they paid our own guy. They paid Byron Murphy to come back. They got Mekhi Blackman. They brought in Isaiah Rodgers. But what is that battle going to shake out like? I mean, do they feel confident that they're going to be able to go into the NFC North? They're going to play the Bears, who maybe a little bit of an overrated receiving core, but some of these receivers that are in the division, do they feel good or not?
Yeah, I think Isaiah Rodgers, obviously coming off a Super Bowl win, he's a great pickup that they've had this season. But I would agree with you. Cornerback room is not as deep as I think Vikings fans would like for it to be. However, I will say, having been out at Vikings practice, Jalen Naylor has put on some serious weight this offseason in a good way. He's. I mean, receivers don't generally look like big, but he's he's muscular. I mean, I think he's going to be faster. The other, which is crazy, something that a lot of people don't think about. When J.J. McCarthy was healthy last year, he was always doing the reps with the second team. And that is Jalen Naylor. So he already has this connection with Jalen Naylor. And when I've been at practice, that's what we've been seeing. He sees, which I will say, Speedy switched to number 1 this year, so it's a little different. His eyes maybe not going directly to him, but I think that the connection has already been made and a trust has already been made between the two of them. And so I could see Jalen Naylor having an upper hand heading into training camp for that wide receiver 3 spot. But Ty Felton is definitely going to give him a run for his money because Ty's a pretty big guy.
And fast,
which I think
is
something that Jalen Naylor probably took into account when it came to his offseason training. He was like, wow, look at that guy. I should probably get on it.
Maybe one of them is wide receiver 3, one of them returns punts and kicks.
That'll probably be how it shakes up. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for it. But that is all we've got for KARE 11 Sports Plus this week. Thanks for joining us. Nasir's going to be in and out a few times because Reggie's going to be out for about almost 2 months.
Take all the time you need, Reggie.
Yeah, he loves this show. Thanks for joining us. Have a happy Wednesday night.